Hey everybody, Andrew Love here. I got my trees in the background and I wanted to talk about talking how cheap it is to have ideas and opinions, and everybody's got them, but very few people actually have substance. And when it comes to being a father, substance is everything. And I want to unpack this because there's a lot of us who really do care. We really want to do a great job as a father and as a husband. And yet you see all these people who put on a big show. You got these Grant Cardones, you got these, I don't know, Dave Goggins type people, these Gary Vee type people. And it's really good marketing for whatever it is that they're trying to sell. And I know you're trying to sell to us. But in reality, in essence, their substance is not really that inspiring. If you look at the Grant Cardone's being sued all over the place. Dave Goggins talks about how he's been estranged from his daughter for a long time. He doesn't have a good relationship with her because he's running all the time. You gotta learn how to also sit. You just gotta sit sometimes with your kids. Can't run all the time. And then Gary Vee, obviously we call it hustle porn. He was all about hustle, hustle, hustle. That's all he was talking about. Recently, in the past couple of years, he's pivoted to like empathy. But I don't think he was really empathetic to his family, to the fact that they need him, but he's working 24/7. And so this is not a judgment on anybody, but this is a statement to us. If we've been consuming this content, it comes at a cost. That cost is a lot of times we feel like hypocrites because we're not as rich as these guys who fly in private jets, or we don't have as many abs as Dave Goggins, who has abs on his face, who's just ripped, right? And so maybe we're strong, but not that strong. And so we compare ourselves, and of course it's a losing battle. But when you talk about substance, and when you talk about your legacy, it's not about how much you've talked and these amazing ideas you had. It's what you do that really matters. So I want to get into that, right? So the new way is showing people, right? The old way is about preaching, and we used to follow great thought leaders who had these great ideas, and we'd put all of our hopes in them. This was in the realm of religion. This is in the realm of business or whatever. We'd expect them to kind of be our Messiah in a sense, because they seemed like they had it all figured out. But that's us giving away our power. And so you'd walk around and you'd see all these people who would talk about this great idea and this great thought leader, but you'd say, okay, what about you? And I don't know if you know, like a landmark. I had all these people calling me because they were going through this landmark thing. And I don't know, I never really liked it, but I was open to it. But these people would call me up because that's a part of the landmark. It's like an ideology on how to get your life together, how to live your very best life, how to crush life. And a part of baked into their system is you go through these forums, and at the end of the forum, you're supposed to call everybody you know and say, you got to come to this thing. It's amazing. So I had a group of my friends that had gone through it. And so they all called me. They're like, oh, he'd be a great candidate. And I was like, okay, talk to me in a year. And they'd be like, no, you got to sign up now. And I'm like, no, I don't. And second of all, I will sign up, but if you show me the evidence that this works a year from now, because you are inspired, and inspiration's nice, but inspiration's for you, okay? It doesn't mean anything to anybody else. That inspiration is supposed to translate into action, and that action is supposed to really help. And so none of them got back to me in a year, by the way. I would have been open to it, but I follow substance. I surround myself with people who I believe have the substance that I value. Like, they're doing things that prove that they are good people, that they love their family. And as a father, right, this is of the utmost importance that we hang around people with good substance and that we become men of substance. So the old way is really all about preaching and talking, right? Blah, 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 blah. But in today's reality, it's essential that what we say is connected to our actions and that they're inseparable. That's called integrity, but it's the building block for being somebody that you can respect and that your kids can respect and that your wife can respect. If you make empty promises, people are watching, right? Especially these little eyes, these little kids, they're watching you. So substance over show is, at work, I have people that I work with. I don't want to say I'm their boss, but I kind of am. I just don't like the, status. Ugh, whatever. I watch not what people say, but do they live up to their word, right? And when they are people of substance, when you're building a business or when you're creating an organization or when you're collaborating with people and you see that somebody has integrity, it's like, yes, I want to work with that person, right? But it's the same at home. If you say, yeah, honey, I'll be at home and I'll make you dinner. And then you call her right before dinner and say, I can't make it. How many times are you going to do that before your wife stops trusting your word? Same with your kids. If you promise to go to their sporting events or you say anything at all, you make any promises, if you don't keep those, then you're breaking a sacred covenant with your kids. It's like a promise. It's an agreement. You're breaking that contract. You're in breach of contract and you don't want to be in anybody's debt in terms of your word. You want to be on a surplus that every time you say something, you make it happen because then your word has value. It's just like the stock market. It's based off of other people's opinions about your word, your value as a company. Same with us. Our word as an individual is based on what we believe about our own word and what other people believe about our word. And you know these people, these dads that are all smoke and mirrors, but they have no substance. And these people are dangerous men. These people, I know a couple that the guy was always in charge of every scenario. When he walks into a room, people really listened to him. And then it turns out he was very dysfunctional and he was breaking apart his family. He was abusive to his family and all sorts of stuff. But that was all behind closed doors. And so eventually, of course, it unraveled. It fell apart. We cannot be two people. We have to be one person, right? And so our word is our bond. That's our covenant. For anybody who believes in the Bible, the only reason we have a world was because God said, I'm going to make something, and then he did it, right? We're the same. As the children of God or as the beneficiaries of being built from this energy of creation, we too have the capacity to say great things, but then we have to live up to them. And that's what our kids need from us, okay? So if you want a strong foundation, if you want everything to be healthy and fine, then it's based on your ability to keep your promises, to be a man of your word. And without that, little by little, everything starts to erode. And it's like you've built your house on the side of a cliff on quicksand in a place that's prone to earthquakes and volcanoes. It's like, that's why a lot of houses in Japan, oh my God, I don't know if you know about the situation in Japan. There's millions of abandoned houses, but there's so many of them. As investors, you can actually buy these houses from America, whatever, for sometimes $10,000 for these beautiful houses. And I was looking at one because it was so beautiful, but it was on the side of a mountain. And then it said, this is an area that is prone to earthquakes and it's near a volcano. And I was like, yee. And if you look at Japan, tsunamis, just not a great place to invest in real estate right now. But that could be your life too. Is like people only want to invest. And this is your kids. Look, like your kids, it's an investment. If they're going to believe in you, like when they're little kids, they'll believe anything you say. You say, honey, I'm made out of cotton candy. They'll believe you up until a certain age. You can fudge the numbers pretty good. But eventually, around their tweens, they start looking at you with a bit of a skeptical eye and they start to ask some good questions. And then they stop believing a lot of what you say. They become skeptics. But if you're a man of substance, they can't say anything. Nobody can say anything because you are a man of your word, right? So everything starts to collapse in your life if your word and your actions are separate, okay? So integrity, you need to understand that it's not just a value. It's not just like a thing that you strive for. It's a muscle that you build every single day. Every single day when you say, I'm going to wake up, do you wake up at that time? Last night I wanted to have a certain breakfast because I was going to go to the gym early. And I knew that I wouldn't remember because I'm not good at being functional in the morning. I have to lay it out. So I had my bone broth, I had some collagen, I had some vitamins, all laid out in this concoction with some MCT oil. I'm not one of those guys, but today I was. And I had it all on the counter so that I didn't have to think. I just went and I just made it, drank it, went to the gym. It was great because my yesterday me, the version of me yesterday, was like, I'm going to take care of the tomorrow's me. And then when I woke up today, I was like, thanks yesterday me. I can't think right now. You thought about everything. It was me having a vision, formulating a statement, I'm going to do this. And then today's me just had to follow the plan. So when you live up up to your word, you respect yourself and you trust in yourself. When you don't live up to your promises enough times, you stop believing in yourself. You'll make goals. How many of you are this? You make a goal on New Year's Eve and you say, tomorrow it's going to be different, and you don't believe it. And you can tell that because within a few days, you've already given up on yourself because you didn't believe yourself in the first place. But when you make little, like let's say you're out of integrity. In order to regain integrity, it's a matter of making small promises to yourself and keeping those promises. Okay, I'm going to not eat chocolate just for one day. And then you just do that. And then you start compounding the promises that you make and keeping them. And you start to build your integrity muscle. And then soon enough, it would hurt too much to break your promises to yourself. So you have full integrity. It's super powerful. So your kids, at the end of the day, y'all, they just need an example, a living, breathing example of something that they would like to become. And you can be that for your kids, but only if you can be that for yourself. Because if you're a giant hypocrite, then eventually your kids will see that and they'll be like, even if they can't comprehend it, they'll feel it. There's like some part of my dad that's just weird and I don't like it. And it feels weird when I'm around him when he's like that. You don't want that. You want your kids to feel like I can really rely on this guy. I really love this guy, and what he is and what he says, it's all just, it makes sense. And that's how you can feel good about yourself. That's how your kids can feel good about you. That's how your wife can really feel safe around you. And that's how you build a life. So the adaptation way is not to worry about being perfect right now. It's constantly adapting to become better all the time, every day, so that you're investing in becoming the man of your dreams, so that your kids can follow in your footsteps and that your wife can really feel safe around you, so that you can build a life that you love. All right, that's what I got for you today, everybody. Hope you enjoy this little presentation. See you around.